It's official. The ETF was approved. Or was it not? We killed the website. We're going to cover the mania, the mayhem, and the mishaps that is the Bitcoin ETF. It's time to go around the blockchain. Anyway, thanks for joining, everybody. We got 3 great guests, and we're going to just chop it down momentarily. Drew Wolfer holding down the green spot. Drew, how are you doing today?
Man, it's all good. I mean, hopefully we get some good news here in a minute. You know, I'm hoping it's a sunny day in Florida, so maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, and we'll be refreshing and checking this SEC site. It looks like Crypto Twitter broke it. That's what we do. Also on today, we have Jake Claver, and Gary Gensler is taking a cleaver to the markets today. Jake, how are you doing, though?
Doing great, brother. Appreciate you having me here.
All right. Always a great time with you. And then also, we love Matthew Snider. Matt, man, is that a Mr. Beast t-shirt? What are you wearing over there?
This is Suica by Designs. You should check them out. It's a WTF is a coda, and I got a coda on the back. So if you're part of the Yuga ecosystem, it might be of interest.
Do you have a coda?
I do have a coda with a weapon.
Nice. I didn't sell my mutant thinking out for sure I was going to get airdropped a coda. I wasn't. But let's talk about Bitcoin, the bloodbath. We're going to check Caleb Franz's Twitter account right here, X post. He has posted the SEC Gov website. Now, last time we checked, it was 4:04. We're going to check again, everybody. Guys, this is breaking news. It is up. Hurry, screenshot, hit screen record. Pursuant, it's a lot of legalese, but NASDAQ market and SIBO exchange together with the New York Stock Exchange filed with the SEC rule changes to list and trade shares of the following. And then they list the 11 Bitcoin ETFs here. We go ahead and start. Bitwise, Grayscale, Hashdex. Below that, iShares, Valkyrie, ARC21, Galaxy Digital, Invesco, Van Eck, Wisdom Tree, Fidelity, and Franklin Bitcoin ETF. So this apparently looks pretty official, folks. We're not just going off Gary Gensler or SEC Twitter or X account. This is sec.gov/, and it's a long URL, then a PDF. But folks, this is looking pretty official to me. Now, again, this is breaking news. We're talking seconds old. I'm going to go ahead and go to you first, Drew. Drew, I'm leaning towards this is official. This has happened. We haven't heard any confirmation from Gary, but what are you thinking?
I think that Gary's going to lag on it either way. But one thing, I did go live earlier because I was checking the SEC website, and there was for the CBOE, there was a communication in between the SEC and the CBOE about 21 shares and ARK Invest, and it was a request for expediting the listing of their ticker, and 99 times out of 100 that doesn't happen unless it's like specifically requested by the issuer or the SEC saying like, hey, let's get this moving. So that was kind of like my confirmation in seeing that, and then having like the official document, and I like shared it all on my channel and everything. So I do honestly think, and that was my one thing that I was questioning though, because I was like, I would figure that they're going to approve like all of these, because there was like almost 15 of them at the same time, and not really gives anybody like a first mover advantage. Like if you're going to get one, you're going to get them all, because they're all kind of like, making like submitting all the same stuff. And this kind of confirms that they are going to, let everybody go at the same time, which is great news. So like, huge win for blockchain, huge win for Web3, huge win for everybody in the cryptocurrency space. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Drew, were they being fair to everybody, or were they not wanting to let BlackRock have a competitor get ahead of them?
Basically, yeah. That's kind of, either way, dude. I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to tell, but I would say the big dogs have to take precedent, whether they're first in line or not.
Yeah, you know what? I say at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're getting 10, 11, all simultaneously. And if it's beneficial for BlackRock, that is a coincidence. And if you say otherwise, you're a conspiracy theorist. How dare you say Larry
ETFs
Fink?
For Ethereum, I think it's good news for Ethereum too.
All right. And what is up with all these giant tech CEOs and finance CEOs? Their last name matches to what they're doing. But anyways, Jake, I want to ask you, it appears we are approved. The markets have not reacted that violently. Let's share my screen. I'm gonna pull up trading view. We're gonna pull up Bitcoin trading chart. We're gonna go in a smaller time frame. You see a little bit of chop, but honestly, this is nothing compared to what we saw yesterday. Did we exhaust the leverage traders? Why are we seeing less volatility today compared to yesterday, Jake?
Yeah, I think all the leverage that was in the market's been liquidated. They got both directions. They waited. They announced and then redacted 20 minutes later, and you got swings in both directions. So yeah, I expect some pretty significant volatility. So I want to talk about the fees. They've got significantly lower fees on these ETFs than almost any other ETFs that have ever launched. And Clayton made a pretty interesting statement when he was talking. He talked about the pipes being able to rebalance the portfolios efficiently and transact things at scale, to be able to facilitate, the actual trading of the underlying asset for the ETFs. I think that we might see some other cryptocurrencies implemented in an actual use case, which will cause price appreciation for those to be able to actually facilitate these ETFs if they are launched.
All right. Well, after Bitcoin, probably going to be an Ethereum ETF. Jake, what is coin number 3?
I would venture to say coin number 2 is XRP.
XRP before Ethereum. And Matthew, you're nodding your head. Now, Matt, I talked to Eric Balchunas yesterday. He 2 days ago, he was saying XRP, while a lot of people like it, highly unlikely was his words. You seem to be a fan of Ripple Labs and XRP. What are your thoughts on, after Bitcoin? Would it be Ethereum, or do you agree with Jake? It could be XRP ahead of Ethereum.
So as I've said previously, I am a Ripple holder since 2016, 2017. I think that it's an incredible way to replace the archaic Swift system that we currently have from the financial underpinnings and the freeways and the highways of our current system, which are terribly slow and very, very old. So I think that it provides the necessary logistical technologies that we need to enhance our financial digital economy. So I would love to see that happen. I think that they are mired down in the legal process right now, although I think today is the day that they're supposed to be getting some sort of either legal justification or some answer to a question that they've been looking at for a while now. So pending some of the legal ramifications that come out of the Ripple case, it could make it a really big opportunity or a really big candidate for an ETF, just because of the work that they've been doing through all this sort of the legal shenanigans that they've been dealing with. But I want to go back and echo what Jake was saying about the fees. Boy, this is going to be a race to the bottom. And before you know it, I think that there's 18 or 21 of these out right now. I can't imagine a year from now that they're all still offering this. I think it's going to boil down to maybe 2 or 3 big institutions that manage it. I can't imagine that folks are going to really want to keep this around if the floodgates are open and all of a sudden nobody comes in and asking for an ETF.
Well, it did seem to be a race to the bottom with the fees. Do you think that might make the fees coming in lower than, say, a competitive commodity? If Bitcoin has fees that are 1/4 of an oil ETF, a gold ETF, precious metals, SP 500, what have you, will that actually equate to any extra adoption? Do you think the low fees makes it more likely that 401k advisor is going to point people in that direction?
Not necessarily. I think one of the big reasons they have to have such low fees is because there are only really 2 competitive advantages. One is custody and ease of access. Oil ETFs, gold ETFs, there's only one gold ETF, I think, but a lot of these other ETFs are aggregations of a number of different resources and commodities together, which takes a lot of work and requires some financial analysis and different legal structures and all that kind of stuff. So they have a reason to sort of raise the price. And I think the challenge is that people can go out and get this on Coinbase and they don't need an ETF. So it'll be really interesting to see as adoption ticks up and people get more wallets and they get more decentralized applications, whether or not people actually want to use this. And as I found out last week, people aren't rushing to put this in their 401k or from a wealth preservation perspective into their IRA or long-term funds. It's just too risky and not something that a lot of fiduciaries are recommending to their clients.
All right. Well, Drew Wolfer, is the last action of the past 24 hours, 25 hours, would you say are they right to not push Bitcoin ETFs towards their, more traditional investors?
I always put myself on mute. Sorry. I think technically yes, because it's still, even though it's been around for like almost 15 years at this point, like technically is it still in its infancy? Yes. I think that since everything is online, it's really hard to get people to say, like, if just say some catastrophic event happens where, basically our technology goes down. Okay. You can't access Bitcoin. You're only going to be able to access maybe the cash that you have on hand, gold, silver, physical assets, and stuff like that. I think until Bitcoin becomes more mainstream in terms of being accepted places, like, can I go to Walmart and buy my Snickers bar with Bitcoin, right? I think that's when people start pushing it even more. Whenever it becomes more of a like global, like monetary instrument of exchange, where it's just more acceptable. So yeah, I think they're kind of right, but at the same time, how do we get there without them recommending it, right? So it's kind of a catch-22 in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say this: 1 out of every 4 years, it's the worst idea. The second of those 4 years, it's pretty close to a coin toss. 2 of those years, they will want to strangle you for not having more exposure or adding more exposure for them. All right, well, let's see, Jake. I want to ask you this question because Juicy tweeted this out, and I want to ask your opinion. For those who do not know, this is and will be the single biggest thing to ever happen to Bitcoin. Essentially, banks, entire governments, any business can now officially purchase Bitcoin through a spot ETF with full clarity, regulatory clarity. I want to ask you, what is bigger, Jake? Is the ETF announcement bigger, or El Salvador adopting as legal tender a bigger announcement?
If the ETFs are approved, and I'm not sold that they are yet.
You're not sold on this this rumor, this website. You're not sold just yet.
No, we file a lot of these documents for the funds we run. You have to file through Edgar with the SEC. There's proceedings until there's official confirmation from the SEC that this has been passed and we have something that says approved. I know, like, you see people listing tickers and all these things and they're ready to go tomorrow, but it would be a big rug, man, if they just decided last second not to push it through, which they definitely can. But to answer your question, if this is approved, this is for sure the biggest news for Bitcoin. This allows institutional adoption at scale. I'm concerned that you might see, people that have held for an extended period of time dump on retail as they have exit liquidity to be able to do so. So I don't know what happens to the price, but it is probably the most significant event aside from futures that has happened to Bitcoin.
All right, let's pull up the price. I'm going to pull up a 5-minute chart right here. You can see a lot of volatility right around the announcement. Similar to yesterday, we saw movement to the downside after this rumor started to spread. Now it seems like maybe it found a bottom, kind of bouncing. And if we compare it to the areas yesterday, folks, I know TA, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Look at this point of control. It wicked right there. And look exactly where it wicked to today, 44,900. So something to just to look at, a little feather in the cap for the people who are trading off this news here. I want to ask you, let's see here, Matt. I mean, what are we expecting for the next, let's say, week or so? I mean, is this going to generate hype? Just going to continue? We're going to see them talking about this on CNBC and Fox Business News tomorrow, and then Friday, and then maybe even on Monday. Or as the balloon popped, and we're just kind of looking around and not realizing yet?
This is a great question. So I think that, well, one, right now, they don't trade. So I would make the point that anybody that has Bitcoin right now is fine. Like, anybody that has Bitcoin, they've got their demand met. So nothing will start trading until tomorrow. And I'm sure there's a bunch of analysts sitting there at their desks waiting to call people in the morning, want this Bitcoin ETF, and a bunch of 60-year-olds being like, no, I don't want that criminal money. So it'll be interesting to see what the adoption is like. Another reminder to listeners, we have a spot ETF in Canada and a spot ETF in the UK, and not a lot of people really care about it. So it'll be interesting to see what the uptick looks like and how many people try to sell it, or BlackRock says they have 2 billion waiting on the sidelines. Okay, great. Bitcoin does 40 billion in volume in 24 hours. So it's like a drop in the bucket. People throwing nickels and change at the ETF saying, hey, this is a success. I think time will tell. I think you got to wait longer than a couple weeks. I think 3 to 6 months we'll really know whether it's been a success and whether that there's really adoption of it. And we'll see. Cat's out of the bag now, but I don't expect a huge run up at all, really. But again, slow, steady, accumulative growth over time is what I'd like to see.
All right, I do want to share my trade. Speaking of trade, I opened along this morning. I am in profit. I do want to share. I closed out about 40% at this level, and now I'm just riding the rest up. I get liquidated at 30 cents. I almost just want to have zero stop loss and ride this thing until the sunset. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but 30 cents, I don't know if it could go that low, if I'm just being honest. Drew, can Cardano go to 30 cents? No, I'm kidding. Drew, I want to bring up the point that was just previously stated about the Canadian ETF. Look, we already got it in Canada, and it's crickets. Okay, it's moving as fast as cold maple syrup for my Canadian brethren right there. What would you say to that? It already is released. There is very little attention, fanfare, interest. I mean, is there a possibility this won't be as popular as we assume?
I honestly don't think so. Canada and the United States are inherently different in the financial markets and just as a population as a whole. I think the UK is rather, it's a lot better of a comparison. We'll put it like that. I would rather compare it more to Germany almost as well. But yeah, I would say Canada, I would not use them as a case study. In the UK, I would also not necessarily use them as a case study because their crypto, I mean, crypto's big over there, but a lot of the crypto market is over here. And it seems like as much as people, and we hate to admit it as well, and the rest of the worldly population hates to admit it, America does trend set certain things, and once we kind of adopt things, global adoption can be a little bit easier, and a lot more places will follow suit. And one thing that we do know is that Americans are unapologetically American, right? So we are gung ho about everything. Yeah, exactly. Right. There you go. There's your. So we literally sing our national anthem at every single sporting event, all the way down to middle school. You know what I mean? So we are enthusiastic about the things that we want to do. So my guess is that Americans are going to be a little bit more enthusiastic about getting into these ETFs than, say, maybe Canada or the UK would be. Just my opinion.
And I'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, one of the only forms of brainwashing DZ approves of. It is 100% brainwashing on children. But I was brainwashed as a child, and I think it's a good thing for national pride. All right, I do want to answer or talk to someone in the chat. Cam Warthon, I lost all my money in Gemini Earn, and I'll probably Epstein myself. Cam, do not do that. You're still early. We still probably have about 18 months before the bull top. So there's still time. And I'm not just trying to plug this video I have upcoming, but, I kind of really want to express this. There's airdrop opportunities. If you don't have funds in the market, that you can have time in the market, and there's things you can do which a little bit of time could equal some airdrops in the future, and then you can flip those airdrops to even more. So Cam, stick with it. Stay involved within crypto, and I guarantee you will have more opportunities, and I'll work my hardest to provide some opportunities for you. If you see me tearing up because I'm getting emotional, and maybe it's related to my cataract surgery a few weeks ago. Let's see, Jake, I want to ask you, I'll go ahead and ask all three of you about this Canadian question. What are your thoughts on the disparity of attention on this U.S. Bitcoin ETF versus the ones up north where it's just cold tundra, blizzard winds affecting nobody?
Yeah. In the U.S., I don't think we're going to have anywhere near the adoption that people are hopeful for on this deal.
Okay. Why is that? Let's just double click on that.
Why
do you think we're overhyping right now? Be the devil on our shoulder.
Like I said, there's a lot of people that have been holding for an extended period of time. We just saw Satoshi's wallet get 26 Bitcoin from, Binance the other day, supposedly going to dox that account. Just some weird things. I just have a feeling that Mt. Gox and some of these other people that are holding very large bags of Bitcoin are going to see this as an opportunity to dump. And I think we've got a lot of downside from here that a lot of people haven't factored in. I think there's a lot of hype in the market. You've seen the greed and fear indicator, the highest it's been in a long time.
You're dumping the markets
think
right now, Claver. Can we share my screen? Claver, Jake, this is you. This is when your segment started. It's a 1 minute chart, and your bearish sentiment has created a cascading effect. Are you expecting, is this a buy the rumor, sell the news, or
Yes.
The inverse to that is the ETF upgrade in 2021. It was already, a high number of green candles, and then we had an ETF upgrade. It was supposed to, the green candle's coming to an end, and then stayed green candles for another week and change. But you're thinking buy the rumor, sell the news?
I hope I'm completely wrong, and we see all-time high, and it goes to 100,000, and the Moon Boys are happy, and everybody that's holding Bitcoin that's bought on the way up makes a ton of money. And I'm completely wrong. But my anticipation is the hype is over, and we only see downside for Bitcoin. I think the alts still have some room, though.
All right. And guys, I know you see the topics below. We were going to talk about liquidations. We were going to talk about India banning crypto. And we were going to talk about quantum computer by 2026. I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe tomorrow. Right now, we got to focus on the ETF. I'm going to go, let's just throw up a thumb, point at the camera. 24 hours from now, will Bitcoin's price be higher or lower? Where are you coming in at? Wow, 3 people coming in lower. I'm coming in higher because too many people are saying it's already time to sell. I'm just coming in as a Mr. Reverse Indicator here. Also, wasn't Jim Cramer bearish? So I'm just coming in. I'm just going in with the reverse Cramer here.
He said Bitcoin couldn't be killed.
Couldn't be killed.
Yeah, he said Bitcoin couldn't be killed or something. He was like bullish.
Kramer. What are you doing to me, Cosmo?
Did you see the thing though about how much money has come in since like October? It was like $14 billion, and they attributed like over 60% of it. There was like a special report on this. It's like $14 billion has come into the cryptocurrency markets since I believe October when all this ETF stuff started, and they attributed 60% of it to speculative because of the ETFs, right? So think about back in October, we were at 26K. Everyone is in massive profits right now.
Good point.
So if you're in massive profits, what do? DZ, you were in massive profits on your Cardano. You took 40% off right at the top, right? Or at that one level, and you're letting the rest ride. So a lot of profit taking can be happening here. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here and why everybody's going down, because whenever there's so much hype around this and there's been so much buying pressure up, and now like he was talking about, the fear and greed index is way high. There's a very high likelihood, at least in my opinion, and we still have not back tested to those previous supports that we flipped resistances to support, which were in like the 30K range. So there's a very high likelihood that we could see some significant downside.
Wook and Benny brought it up. It was he was coming in, pretty bearish. It was the very next, or bullish, the very next day he did say Bitcoin has topped out. So he basically tried to cover both sides. So I'm just going off his most recent. But you know what? He's probably like texting his niece or nephew, "Oh, it's gonna go up." So, who knows?
Like, it's either going to dump or go to the moon. One of the two,
It's a good chance it's going to 0 or a million 20 years from now, and I don't really see it being too much in the middle. Jake, I want to ask you, the ETF news, what are the history books going to say about this? I mean, is this going to be one of the first dominoes that led to Gary's firing, or one of the first dominoes that led to Bitcoin being a real asset that is actually respected?
Like I said, I think so. Let me go back to the fees, and the other gentleman brought up a lot of good points with that. But I think because of the efficiencies that are going to happen in markets with this, that's why the fees are able to be where they're at. And I think on the back end, again, they'll be implementing a lot of this technology that allows for faster, more efficient transactions when these actually launch, if they do. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the effect of that. I don't think Bitcoin's going to be the biggest benefactor of the ETFs launching.
All right. And someone in the chat just said Cardano's going nuts. If we share my screen right quick, we were talking about it right around here. I closed some, and it looks like it's flirting with new levels. Of course, though, if we zoom out, everybody, there's a sharp decline from 60 cents. You can see it right there. We've been, falling down pretty steadily. And yeah, let's go back even further, folks. The thing used to be above $3. So, let's zoom out. Oh, wait, let's actually put it more into scale. Let's look at the regular chart. Okay, now you feel now you feel like an idiot holding, just like me. All right, so yeah, you can see why I am long bullish on that coin right there, at least with that stretched out y-axis. Now, Matt, I'm kind of asking, ETH, some of these other alts. I know your team XRP. Let's remove XRP from the equation. Let's just talk about ETH. Let's click on ETH. ETH is outperforming Bitcoin, at least in this, the past 24 hours. Is this a trend for 2024?
I think you're going to see a ton of interest and demand on the new roadmap or the updated roadmap for Ethereum. Vitalik posted it a few weeks ago. Lots of really interesting things coming out of the ecosystem. A lot of the layer 2s performing well. I think that you're going to have a new narrative around Ethereum if they can get the transactions up, the costs down, and proliferate some of these L2s that are very, very interesting. I think this is going to be a year for these platforms to kind of make or break. It'll be interesting to see what some of the other ones do. My only concern with like an Ethereum ETF is really going to be the solidification of it as as a security, which will also have an impact on the other tokens as well. And so hopefully this also brings some clarity with how these assets are classified. It'll be really interesting to see. I think right now you're just seeing a lot of money roll out of Bitcoin and then into some of the alts. So we see this cycle pretty often. And I would look for some alts to pump in the next couple days as well.
All right, Drew, what alts are on your radar?
I'm Team Polygon. I'm always Team Polygon. I love Polygon. Let's go a little bit further down the list though. I like Cake and Uniswap. I think that whenever we get into a bull run, I'll give you the reason. When we get into a bull run, there's going to be all these, dumb projects coming out. Everybody's going to launch a coin. I'm going to launch Drew Coin, right? And I'm going to launch it on a decentralized exchange. So decentralized exchange coins always do, decently well. Obviously, you've got your crypto.coms and your BNBs. I don't see as much upside to those, but I do see like the Trons, TRX. TRX actually has like almost the most transactions out of any. Maybe it is the most transactions out of any blockchain out there. Love TRX. Obviously, yeah. Pick up some Ethereum, pick up some BNB. But if you want to get a little bit riskier or just get a little bit further out of the, top 10, top 20s, I would go with like the Polkadots and stuff like that. So
You listed some exchange tokens. I've actually flipped from centralized to derivatives exchanges. Do you have any broad thoughts on are derivative exchanges going to be big in 2024? I think GMX is the largest. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I think the ones. So here's the issue. They got to get into the United States somehow, man. That's the problem. And I know Coinbase is trying to. They're acquiring some company outside of the United States to try to bring like futures and stuff like that to United States based people. But no, I absolutely agree with that assessment, DZ, for sure.
CryptoPunk, is this a penny stock channel? I'm sorry, Matic. Some might consider that a penny stock. I would say, given their recent business acquisition or business development deals, I would say I'm pretty bullish on that. We have Nick Demondi confirming you're going live in 1 minute. Room is open if you want to go join Discover Crypto. We're going to wrap this up in a couple minutes here. I want to go around the blockchain, everybody. Oh man, Drew, any broad thoughts you want to share about this ETF nonsense?
Just that I think it, honestly, I see the dump coming. Yeah, that's just my opinion. Until we get some real adoption where people can actually like go and purchase their groceries with it. And I know everybody's going to argue and say, "Oh, you got to get the stupid credit card." That's not what I mean. I mean, like just like real adoption, like Kroger or Walmart is like, yep, you can use Bitcoin Pay, right? And there's like serious infrastructure there. And, honestly, do I see a bunch of retirement portfolios being like given to Bitcoin and those assets? Probably not. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of those retirement portfolios, they're already set and they're already doing good. So they don't really need to chase moonshots. They're not that worried about it, especially if they've already got their retirement accounts set up and it's there for their kids. So I'm bullish on the ETFs. I think it's great news. I'm not going to take anything away from it. I think we have we're like at the 1 yard line, but we got to get to that proving ground and see like how many shares actually get sold here, and then who becomes the top dog, because it's probably going to be like BlackRock.
Yeah, probably with that 0.3, then dropping down to 0.2. I see that being pretty attractive. Jake, just give me your broad thoughts on the SEC's response, professional or not.
The fake tweet?
Just everything. The tweets, Gary's response, this website, 404, 5 minutes after it's released.
I think that they've done everything they can to make this reflect poorly on crypto.
I almost wanted to stop you at, I think they did everything they can, like a competency issue. Oh, but no, you're giving them more credit. I'm sorry to step on you there, Jake.
No, I think they definitely know what they're doing. They're intelligent people. So that's unfortunate, right? You would rather them be incompetent. But no, I think that that's the case. And I think that people will reflect on this as when the digital world met the traditional finance world. Like, I think that after time transpires and people look back at this day and this integration of crypto and financial markets, that's what people are going to remember. This was when those two worlds met.
Like the song said, that is what it's like when worlds collide. All right, and then to wrap it up, we're going to throw it to Matt. Matt, you've been talking to, I think, 25 asset managers just in the past week or so. What do you think the broad thoughts are within that world, given the last 24 hours?
Well, I've asked them repeatedly whether a Bitcoin ETF legitimizes the space enough for them to put client money into Bitcoin and into the ETF. And the broad answer was no. But interesting spoiler alert, I'm going to go to Charlotte. I'm going to go talk to another 18 out there, and then I'm going to get some cold calls in. We're going to make this into like a really big content thing. We want to try to figure out what asset managers are thinking, if they're going to really be interested in this, and like, do people actually want this outside of the crypto Twitter X community? And the last piece too, Cam, appreciate you making that comment. If you have any questions or if you want to talk to a financial advisor, let me know. I'm happy to help out in any way that I can.
All right, Matt, he's always putting out great content. I got the title for you. If you can schedule it all within 3 months, talking to 100 asset managers in 100 days. Play around with it a little. I think there's something there that might be pretty interesting. All right, make sure you check out Matt Snider's. We're going to put links down in the description below. Follow other content. Follow Drew Wolfer. Follow Jake Claver. Follow Matthew Snider. Highly recommend it. So go ahead. Go down there. I'll give you 5 seconds. Go down there. Scroll it. Hit that wheel. Okay, now you're there. You're looking at it. You're clicking on it. You're clicking on the next one. You're clicking on the third one. Make sure you're following all their accounts, everybody. We want to see that little around the blockchain love. Let's give them a little boost here. And folks, it's been phenomenal. We're going to go live again with Discover Crypto. Jake and Nick are going to be dropping some hot takes. It might be too hot for TV. This video might get deleted, so you're definitely going to want to stick around. We go ahead, jump in the waiting room now. We'll see you there.